broken rules-based order. Why Malaysia is staging a comeback? While August 31st is often seen as Independence Day, otherwise known as Merdeka, September 16th marked the formation of the Federation of Malaysia with the inclusion of Sabah, Sarawak, and Singapore in 1963. Although Singapore would consent peacefully to leave the Federation of Malaysia 22 months later, in August 1965, it is essential to note Singapore's emphasis on regionalism. This approach aimed to create a stable region larger than the sum of its parts. Thus, on August 8, 1967, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, was born. The original founders of ASEAN included Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and the Philippines. The founding document placed significant emphasis on social, cultural, and economic cooperation as key drivers of Asian integration. Although it is easy to take ASEAN for granted, it is from this entity that more than 1,500 meetings are established at Track 1 and Track 2 diplomacy across the Asia-Pacific, according to the National Institute of Research Agency, or NIRA, in Tokyo. While many call ASEAN irrelevant in the age of great power rivalry, it has spawned entities like the East Asian Summit, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, the Comprehensive Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership, Regional Cooperation on Economic Partnership, and has even embraced the Belt and Road Initiative and the Indo-Pacific Economic Cooperation. While Malaysia cannot claim credit for all of the above, including the ASEAN Regional Forum and ASEAN Defence Ministers Meeting Plus, it is equally important not to exclude Malaysia or the original founders of ASEAN and Brunei. Cambodia joined ASEAN in 1999, while Myanmar, Laos, and Vietnam joined in 1997. By using 1998 as a benchmark, one could argue that Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim knew or was indirectly involved in all these developments given his role during that period. Digging deeper, Anwar could not have known about other historical milestones like the Organization of Islamic Cooperation in 1969 or the Gulf Cooperation Council in 1972. Additionally, a perceptive leader like Anwar would have acknowledged the importance of the European coal and steel community in 1950, which laid the foundation for today's European Union. The EU transitioned from the European Community to the EU in 2000, adopting the euro as well. Including the OIC, the United Nations, established in 1945, is part of the 24 regional organizations globally. Each year, all 24 Secretary Generals of these ROs, excluding BRICS, meet with the UN Secretary General. Anwar was even asked by former leaders like ex-President Abdullah Gül, former Vice President Al Gore, and ex-Secretary of State Madeleine Albright to stand as a candidate for UN Secretary General. Their advice to Anwar was to avoid Malaysian politics to evade politically motivated imprisonment. However, Anwar chose to return to Malaysia and, after facing persecution, led Pakatan Harapan to victory in 2018, aided by Mahathir Mohamad. However, the self-coup known as the Sheraton Move on February 23, 2020, led to the rejection of Mahathir and his supporters in the 15th general election on November 19, 2022. Mahathir's party, Pejuang, lost all state and parliamentary seats with none of their 500-plus candidates, securing even 0.2% of any contested seats. This narrative raises a crucial question. While Anwar may not have all the answers to modern woes, he certainly did not cause them. Hence, his belief in what he calls the post-normal time, compelling enough to write about on top of his Asian Renaissance, completed 30 years ago. Although Anwar could have rested on his laurels to lead Malaysia as the chairman of ASEAN and the East Asian Summit, in 2025, he chose to pitch Malaysia's aspiration to join BRICS, comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Assessing Anwar's competence as his second anniversary as Prime Minister approaches on November 24th, Malaysians should ask, is the ringgit Malaysia appreciating? Is the economy improving? Are new investments flowing in? The answers are affirmative. For the first time since 2010, when Malaysia got embroiled in the 1MDB scandal, Malaysia has regained its footing. Its currency is the strongest performer in Asia, the economy is poised to grow nearly 6% by the end of 2023, according to the World Bank and IMF, and the country's reserves in Bank Negara stand at 110 billion USD, one of the highest ever. Malaysia's debt to GDP ratio is 44%, compared to 65% in Indonesia and significantly lower than Japan's 400%. Anwar's belief in magical realism, inspired by Latin literary giants Ortega y Gasset and Gabriel Marquez, suggests that fiction is just reality that hasn't happened yet. By rallying the Global South in speeches in India and Russia, Anwar sought to warn the West and others, as President Recep Tayyip Erdogan puts it, that the world is beyond five. Malaysia's foreign policy is pro-trade and omnidirectional, making it a friend to all and an enemy to none. As the late Singaporean mentor minister Lee Kuan Yew noted in 1965, "If there is trade in North Korea, we will trade with them. There is no ideology to stop anyone from trading. Malaysia firmly supports free trade, but opposes wars in Gaza and Ukraine, embodying its position as a confluence of many civilizations in Southeast Asia."